Okay, welcome back to the Are You Strong show. I'm excited to have this young lady on the show tonight. Wait till you hear her background in athletics, and also wait till you hear about her academics that she balanced while in the athletic world. But let's start out undergrad, Shippensburg University, women's lacrosse coach, player, captain of the team, which is phenomenal, which means this young lady's a leader. Then goes to Wilkes University, gets her master's degree in education, is an assistant coach, becomes the head coach, all while having a 4.0 GPA. And that's one thing that I love to point out about the athletes in our interview is their academic ability while they're balancing so much stuff where the traditional student just doesn't understand, right? Then she goes on to Montclair State as an assistant coach, works for as a director of the girls lacrosse team for Evolution Lacrosse Academy, which is pretty cool. And she's currently the head coach at Kean University women's lacrosse team. Welcome to the show, Sarah Lawshe.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
I'm
Happy to be
happy to
here.
have you on, and I have a lot of things to drill down with you tonight, and we're going to go in all kinds of different directions. But before we do that, if you can just tell the audience just a little bit about yourself.
Great. So I am 32 years old. I just started a new family. So my husband, Chris, we've been married for 2.5 years. I have a son. He is 9 months old. So we'll dive into that, but kind of just lets you know that I'm doing all of this while also having a family. Like Jeff was saying, I currently am the Director of Girls Lacrosse at Evolution, which is a youth travel program. So that is a program that puts on camps and clinics for kids learning lacrosse, but then at the same time, we also run travel teams. So I oversee 4 high school level and youth level travel teams and a staff of 10 coaches. And then I also, like you said, I'm the head coach at Kean University. Um, in addition to that, I'm also a fitness coach. So I run fitness classes at a gym called Alpha Fit Club.
So when do you sleep?
I sleep from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Okay, that's a decent amount of sleep.
Yeah, I try to get at least 6 hours.
Okay. I figure you'd be up till 11, 12, planning out game plans, hitting the bed and up and then going to work.
There are days when I am. So on away games, last night, for example, we had an away game in Connecticut. I did not get to bed until midnight. And then I was supposed to wake up at 3 a.m. to coach my fitness classes, but I had someone cover my shifts, knowing that I would only be getting a few hours of sleep. So in a situation like that, I try to plan ahead and have someone cover my shifts at the gym.
I got to ask you a crazy question. And how does your husband handle it?
He handles it because he is kind of in the same boat. Not quite as hectic, but he is a high school coach all 3 seasons. So he coaches football, winter track, and lacrosse in the spring. He's a health and phys ed teacher at a local high school here.
Okay.
So he knows because he does it himself. So
Yeah.
we both have very similar, crazy, hectic schedules. So we understand.
So you both have grown up and lived the life, and
We have.
now you decide to share it,
Yes.
and now you have your 9 month old
Hmm.
who's living the life.
Yeah, he's thrown right into the fire. Poor kid.
So I got a ton of questions to ask you, and I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth between undergrad, between postgrad, between coaching, between everything. But the question I ask a lot of athletes when I have them on is, when did you know you were going to become a college athlete? Was that third grade? Was that eighth grade? Some guys I interview and girls are like, well, I didn't start playing the sport till 11th grade in high school. When did you know?
I want to say it was probably junior year of high school. I knew I would always want to play sports of some sort, but I didn't know if that would be at the club level or the varsity level once I got to college. My junior year of high school is when I started to take lacrosse a lot more seriously. And that is when I knew that I could pursue this in
Okay.
college.
So how was the recruiting process for you? Was it stressful?
No. So very different times. So I graduated high school in 2010. So my
Right.
junior year, 2008, 2009, there really was like nothing out there as far as like what should I do when it comes to recruiting. And it does have to do with where I'm from as well. So I am from South Central Pennsylvania, Mechanicsburg. I went to
Okay.
Cumberland Valley High School. And at that time, lacrosse was not big where we lived. Lacrosse for girls didn't start until seventh or eighth grade. I started my eighth grade year. There also was no like club or travel teams in the area. So my junior year of high school was when I finally joined a club team. And that's what I mean
Okay.
by that's when I took it more serious. So I had to travel an hour to Lancaster, Pennsylvania to join a club program because there was nothing available in our area. And with that being said, like our high school coaches didn't know much about the recruiting process. Like they weren't really helping us because it wasn't a thing where we lived.
Okay.
So really it was my mom and I that just started Googling on the internet, like how to play lacrosse in college. What should I do to get recruited? So that's actually, it dates me, but we started printing out these pages of just like
The
facts about a
stats.
school. Where
Okay.
is the school located? What majors does it offer? Like, what is the tuition? And then we put them together in a binder, like a 3-ring binder.
Yep.
And I would just sit there at night flipping through these pages, like which school could be a possibility for me. And then we started emailing coaches.
So how did you choose Shippensburg?
They came to me.
Okay.
So there was only, I want to say, a handful, maybe 5 schools that came to me, but I cast a huge wide net. I probably reached out to 100 schools,
Wow.
and I didn't truly know what I wanted. I thought I wanted to go south, so I was touring and meeting with coaches in Virginia. I looked at Old Dominion, I looked at Longwood, a lot of schools in Virginia. We looked at a couple in Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Shippensburg wasn't even on my radar because it was only 45 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just way too close for comfort. When I had went to one of my summer tournaments, so summer going into my senior year, the Shippensburg coach saw me play and then reached out to my club coach. So my senior year, I went on an overnight visit to Shippensburg. And that was on like the tail end of my recruiting journey. I had already been on 5 other overnight visits. I thought I had my mind made up. I thought I was going to go to Marymount in DC.
Yeah.
But then I went to Shippensburg and had a fantastic time on my overnight visit. The team was so nice, so welcoming. I loved the coach. I loved the campus. And I texted my mom from my overnight visit at like midnight and said, "Mom, I'm coming here."
Really.
Mhm.
Now, was it the school's reputation? Was it the team's record? Was it the coach's philosophy? Or was it just the relationship that you built? Like, wow, these girls are incredible.
It was the relationship with the team and the other recruits that were in my incoming class.
Wow. Now, were there any other girls with you that day?
There were. It was a large recruiting trip. So there were 10 high school seniors doing an overnight visit. And I think that is what sealed the deal for me,
Did they all
getting
go?
to meet all of these girls that were going to be my classmates.
Now, how many of the 10 went?
7.
Really?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Mhm.
Holy smokes. So you show up as a freshman. Now it's only 45 minutes away from your house. You're probably, hey, this can't be that much of a big deal. I'm only 45 minutes away, get home. But you show up as a freshman. Here you are, 18 years old, and the oldest girl in the team might be 23 with who knows. What was it like walking on campus, going to the locker room, showing up as a freshman? Was it stressful? Was it easy? Or did you step in and play right away? Was it a hard transition? How did that work?
It was a very easy transition for me, and I know that I'm lucky in that regard. For a lot of my friends, it was not easy, especially academically. I came from a high academic high school where they prepared us for college, and some of my friends, that was not the case. So they struggled, but I transitioned pretty seamlessly, and I know it also does have to do with my major. So I was a communications major, and
Okay.
my classes were just not as hard as some of my friends with a more challenging major. So that also is an aspect. But I transitioned very well academically, socially. I was making friends, made friends with all the kids on my dorm floor. So it was fun to say the least. I was never homesick. I didn't go home, but I think knowing that I was able to, because I was only 45 minutes, like I
Yeah.
think that was a peace of mind. Knowing that if I got homesick or something happened, my
You
mom
can
was
go right
able
home.
to
Yeah.
easily get to me.
Now, did your parents come visit much or no?
They did, yeah. So
Yeah.
they visited probably 5 or 6 times that first
Okay.
semester. They came to like all of our fall play days whenever we would have
Yeah.
lacrosse play days. Yeah.
How about game wise? They show up to all the games?
Every single game,
Yeah.
every game.
I mean, so that's the great thing about being so close.
Yeah.
You know,
I
you
wouldn't I wouldn't change it in a million years.
yeah.
That is like, and now being a coach in college, that is one of the main things I tell to the kids that I recruit. If you're looking somewhere that is too far from home, like your parents not going to be able to get to every game,
Yeah.
and it's not a deal breaker, but it's a large piece for a lot of
Yeah.
people.
You know, I mean, I felt that pain. I don't know if you know my background or not, but I played football up at University of Maine. And from Caldwell, which you know the town, it's probably like 11, 12 hours away.
Wow.
And my parents weren't able to go to one game, and that was painful.
Yeah,
You
I
know, it
can't
was
even
painful.
imagine.
No. And what made it, excuse me, more painful was our away games. There was nothing close, even away.
Mhm.
And I just remember being away at games or home at games, and they have the family area and all the parents are there and all the kids are talking to the parents, and what I'm like, it was just too far.
Yeah.
And they didn't get out. They couldn't, my father was a cop in town and he was chief of police at the time. And how does he get in a car and go he's like, hey, if something goes wrong, what's going to happen? I got to be here. It was just like a crazy scenario. That was a long time ago. I'm sure the chiefs of police now today, they can do whatever the heck they want. But
Yeah.
that was a long time ago.
It's also very different now. We're able to stream games. So
Yeah.
even if you live far away, parents
Yeah.
unfortunately can't be there in person, but they can still watch
Yeah.
you online, which is nice.
What was really cool for us, so we were on CBS local up there. So the whole local world could watch, but there was like if it was on now, we'd be able to see it with the streaming and stuff. But back then it was local TV and that was it,
Yep.
which was crazy. So tell me about the camaraderie. Tell me about the locker room. Tell me about the winning, the losing, the preseasons, the workouts. How did that help you gel as a team? And what did you take from that?
I think we had very strong camaraderie. And I don't want to say this is the reason why, but it's a strong reason why is because we spent all of our free time together, off campus, like at the lacrosse house. So it wasn't just a lacrosse relationship that we had. We were truly friends,
Yeah.
and it just made everything so much better. It made the losses easier. It made the winning that much sweeter. Just having so much respect for each other outside of on the lacrosse field, it
Yeah.
made the world of a difference.
So try and explain this. I ask everybody this too. I can't explain it, but if you tell me about it, I understand what you're saying. Can you explain what it feels like to be out on the lacrosse field playing?
Oh, that's the question?
Yeah. Can you explain to somebody what it feels like inside? Like what are you feeling when you're out there? Can you explain that emotion?
I would say some adjectives would be like excited, anxiousness, jittery, um, determination, grit, like hustle. Like it's a whole bunch of balled up emotions
Yeah.
where like you're excited for the next play, but at the same time you're also pissed about the play that just happened. So
Yeah.
it's just like a constant roller coaster ball of emotions. Like
Yeah.
there's no way to just like put one word on it.
And how about when the whistle blows and you win? What's that feeling like?
Um, Relief, honestly, that your whole 60 minutes of hard work that you just put in has just accumulated to something so great.
Yeah.
Just like a sigh of relief, like we
Yeah.
did it. We can
Yeah.
run.
I put it into one word. It's euphoric.
Good word.
That's it. That's everything you just said wrapped up into there. Like it's just all these emotions are going nuts, but you can't manage them.
Mm-mm.
They just happen.
Yep.
And you're high for a second, low for a second, happy for a second, pissed for a second, and it just keeps going around and around and around. But then when you win, like it's like you're in like you're floating. That's why I
Mhm.
just like you're floating. It's crazy, right? But you
It
try to
is.
explain that to somebody who's never played college sports. Like, how do you explain it? It's kind of hard,
You can't.
you know? So, most memorable moment in college, both on and off the field,
A good memory or a bad memory?
whatever you want to call it, most memorable moment, both on and off the field.
Let's go with a bad one, but something that changed me and helped me become a better person and better coach.
Okay.
So, my senior game, my last game of my college career, we had found out that there were some freshmen who were not dressed. So, I honestly forget if they were injured or just not playing, but they were on our sideline, just not dressed. Our own freshmen had been drinking
Mm.
on the field,
On the field.
on the field. They filled up their Gatorade bottles with God knows what, but word got back to us after the game that that had been happening.
Wow.
So,
I think that's the first I've ever heard.
yeah, it was crazy. So, as a senior, that was my last game ever. I could have just like let that slide, right? I'm not going to do anything about that. I'm not going to yell at them. I'm not going to tell the coach. Like, there's no point. I'm done. But I felt like I was obligated. It was my duty to do something about that because I wanted to leave behind like a good legacy and I wanted to set the team up for success in the future. And I was afraid if that went un untouched, that that would be bad news for the program in the future.
It's
So
almost like you were
I,
disrespected.
yes, 100% on our senior game.
Yeah.
Yes. So I set up a meeting with the coaches, myself and the other captains for the following day, and we had told the coaches about what had occurred. And I know that was really hard for those freshmen because they were removed from the team. And I felt really bad, but at the same time, they made that decision,
Yeah.
a ridiculous, horrible decision. And I didn't want that to affect the program in the future. Even though I was no longer a part of it, as an alumni, you still will always feel a piece of
You're
connection to
always
the
part of it.
campus. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that changed me as a person, as a coach, like for my whole future,
And those
knowing that
girls
I
weren't
have
dressed.
they weren't dressed. They're on the sideline on our team, but just like in their travel gear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they weren't going to play. They knew they weren't going to play.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. Yeah. But it changed me because I now that set the tone essentially for the rest of my life. Like I have a higher calling. I have an obligation to do right by the programs that I'm part of, the companies I'm a part of. Not I'm not always just gonna look out for the individual. I'm looking out for the company, program, team as a whole.
The team. I mean, you're the team and the team is you.
Yeah,
Wow. So how quickly were they kicked off?
immediately.
What did the coach think?
So I don't really know because in my captain's meeting, the coaches had just said like thank you for letting us know,
Okay.
and then it was left there.
That's a sign of a good coach.
Hmm.
They took care of it versus, oh, she's a senior, she's leaving, let it go. These girls were they good players as freshmen?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. Wow.
It was a loss for the program for sure.
Oh, wow. So, how about a good memory then?
A good
Which
memory.
I think, again, that's a good memory,
Hmm.
and that's a chapter in the book.
You're right. So for those listening, Jeff has been trying to convince me to write a book.
You're going to write a book.
Yep. I keep saying I don't have enough content, but
You
it
got
turns
tons.
out I guess I do.
You got tons. I'm going to come up with a title for your book too by the time we're done here.
So,
So,
a good
good
memory.
memory.
I would also say that same game. So
Okay.
senior game. So this is before we were aware of what was occurring on the sideline because we didn't become aware of that the next day. So we had just won the game. All of our senior parents are there, families are there. It's a celebration evening. And this was the first time in my 4 years in college that we got together with all of the parents and the families and went out like for dinner, went out for drinks as a senior class with our parents. So that is my best memory from college, just being able to be with these girls that I love and be with their families and
Yeah.
just celebrate all the hard work we put in the past 4 years and just
And that's the
was the
time to
win.
have a drink,
It is right
right?
after the game.
Yeah. This is, how stupid can they be?
It's 18-year-old
Now
college kids. The
how did you
frontal lobe
find
isn't
out?
fully developed yet.
Yeah, but how did you find out? How did anybody even know if they had booze in their bottles?
I can't recall, but if I had to guess, they probably told one of the other freshmen, and then one of the freshmen confided in an upperclassman. I don't know the direct chain of how it came
Yeah.
to our knowledge.
That's again, that's a first for me. That's incredible. I've seen guys like I played with who went out the night before a
Oh
game
yeah,
and
that
got
happened too.
blasted. They got blasted,
Mm-hmm.
but these guys would come to the game and kill it.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody knew it that they were out the night before, but they would come to the game and kill it, and so it was overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder is how much better would they be if they weren't out the night before?
They
You
would be
know,
all Americans.
maybe, you know. So, values that you learned that you took with you as a player now into the coaching world.
Time management
Mm,
is the biggest one. As a student athlete, you will fail if you can't figure out how to successfully manage your schedule. You need to have time allotted for academics, for social life, for lacrosse. If you don't have any type of schedule, if you're kind of just going by the seat of your pants, like it's not gonna work. You need to follow a schedule. And I have carried that from freshman year of college. Time management has always been one of my strong suits, and I use it every single day. Now, balancing multiple jobs, being a mom, like if I'm not planning the day before what my whole day looks like, hour by hour, I'm screwed.
where does your calendar live? On your phone, on the iPad,
My phone.
your phone.
Yeah,
So then it hits the watch.
it does.
What do you think's gonna, I'm just gonna kind of throw something silly at you.
Okay.
Um, your son, his name's Logan,
It is. Yes,
right?
Logan.
Um, he's 9 months old.
Yes.
So what do you think you're gonna tell him when he doesn't want to manage his time? Because he's gonna come to a point. Maybe right now he doesn't want to do it, but he doesn't have a choice. But there's gonna come a time he's gonna say, "Mom, I don't want to do that." What are you gonna tell him?
I think you have to let them learn on their own when they're young.
Hmm.
I don't think that it is the right move to be overbearing when children are young. They have to learn from their own mistakes. So if my son doesn't want to follow a schedule, if he doesn't want to do things that we're asking him to do, he's going to live and he's going to learn. He's going to fail a test. He's going to miss lacrosse practice. Things are going to happen that are not going to work out in his favor, but he'll learn.
So you think you're gonna be a tough mother?
I don't know yet. As of right now, I am not. Chris is the high anxiety, high strung parent, and I'm the very much so chill, go with the flow, minus getting like bags packed and being on schedule.
Yeah.
But with his behavior, playing in the dirt, like eating things, I'm
Let
extremely
it
chill.
let it happen.
Yes.
So
Chris
that's
is
how
the
they
opposite.
learn. As long as he's not in any danger,
Yes.
he'll learn.
Mhm.
Just don't touch the stove when it's hot.
That is my philosophy.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
They
right.
will learn.
So let's go to something a little more serious,
Okay.
and let's go back to your last game. Okay. How emotional was that for you when the whistle blew and you knew you were done for good?
It didn't hit me. It didn't hit me until fall of the following year that I was actually done when I did not go back to school.
Okay, how'd you handle that?
I didn't handle it well. I
No.
was emotional. Um, but Chris, my husband, was a year behind me, so he was still at Shippensburg University as an athlete. He was playing football.
Yeah.
So I had the unique opportunity to still be able to go back for game days and have this experience in the sports world. So it
Hmm.
didn't hit me quite as hard as it probably hit everyone else because I was still in that sport environment at my university, even though I was no
Yeah.
longer a student there.
So what do you miss most?
Hmm. Just playing. You will never have the opportunity to play in a legit real game again. Yes, there's adult leagues. No one takes them that
Yeah.
seriously. They're like beer
They're
leagues.
drinking, they got booze in
Yeah.
their bottles too,
Mhm.
right?
Just playing.
It's tough, I talk to so many athletes and some have gone down some really dark roads because their identity is their sport. That's all people know them as is that player. And then when the sport's over, people stop talking to them about them. They might start talking to them about the team or the sport or somebody else who's really good in playing now, but the conversation that used to surround them, stop.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's hard. And the higher you go in the level of athletics, if you're playing at a D1 high-powered school, you know, it's hard to give that up. And I don't care what level, one, two, or three. If you're a good player and you're a leader on the team, when that whistle blows for the last time, it's hard. And you can remember exactly where you were, what you were thinking, and you can remember the smell of the grass, right? Which is kind of nuts. So what advice would you give to the young, inspiring high school athlete who wants to play in college? What advice can you give her about transitioning from high school to the collegiate level?
I would say if you're talking about in terms of like recruiting and like how to get there,
Well, anything is
is
the
there?
process, the emotional side, the preparation side, the recruiting side. What can you tell them to be ready for this moment?
The easiest thing to get yourself ready or to like prepare you for what college would actually be like, college athletics, is to attend camps and clinics hosted by universities because college coaches and college teams run these camps and clinics, and you'll experience what high level coaching is like and how they speak to their players, how they run drills. So, for someone that has never attended a camp or clinic before, and then when you get to your first collegiate practice as a freshman, you might be a little like, oh my God, this is so fast paced because you're not used to it. You've never seen that type of practice before. So attending practices or attending camps and clinics if possible.
Okay. How about this one? And now you kind of already said it before, but how can they prepare for the detachment from being home? Now you're away, you're out of campus, there's no mom and dad around to bail you out or your brothers or sisters. The emotional mental preparing for being on campus as an 18-year-old freshman.
So I personally didn't prepare for this and luckily didn't have to deal with it. Like I said, I was never homesick, but I had teammates that were. And now being a college coach, I see athletes that are homesick and know that they didn't do anything to prepare. So I think that the easiest way to kind of like handle this situation is to have a plan in place of like when you get homesick, who are you going to call? Just like, what are your steps? Anticipate that this thing might happen, and then what will you do when you start feeling this certain way? That way, instead of panicking or just immediately driving home, you know you're going to take that first step, which is just a simple phone call, because that might make you feel a little bit better.
And now you get this, it's a FaceTime call, so you can actually see
Right.
them.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I ask that question a lot, and I give the same analogy every time. Like I had to go find a phone booth,
Right.
and then the
Mail
problem
a
was,
letter.
what's that?
Mail a letter home.
Well, a mail a letter is one. but I had to go find a phone booth. There we had no phones in our dorms or in our apartments. There was no phones. And this is going back to 1983, as a freshman.
Mhm.
And then once you found the phone booth, there was like 15 people waiting for it. So
Goodness.
you actually had to plan a time, like when was nobody around? It might have been 11 o'clock at night. I'm going to call my mother, and then you had to hope she answered the phone because there was a landline phone. There was no voicemail. There was nothing. And hopefully she was
Mhm.
awake. It was crazy. And now today you pick
I
up the
truly
phone.
can't even imagine that. I don't.
It was, but we lived and we had a great time. It was just, I think we were forced to grow up faster,
Yeah.
without a doubt. And we were forced to, there was no one to call to even say, hey, I'm having a miserable day.
Mhm.
It's like you had to figure it out.
You have to figure it out.
Yeah,
Yes.
which was nuts. So,
But also that
it's,
that just goes to explain like why certain generations are the way that they are. Um,
yeah,
People love to talk down on millennials. It used to be talking down on my age, and now we're all talking down on Gen Z.
yeah,
It's because we've grown up so differently. It's so easy to dismiss the way people act, but that's just the way they were raised, you know?
yeah. It's the same way my father used to talk to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in high school in the 50s, and he's this, I can't believe you guys do this. I can't believe that. I'm like, what? And I became the same thing with my kids. I can't believe you're doing this. And,
Mhm.
they're going to say the same thing to their kids. And you're right.
Yeah.
Everybody talks down to them.
It's a sick cycle.
Yeah. But that's just the cycle of change.
Mhm.
Everything changes. And life continues to move and grow. And if you don't move and grow with it, you fall behind, you know, which is nuts. So setbacks, any significant setbacks for you athletically?
No, I was very fortunate, never had an injury,
Wow. Really?
really. I never even stepped foot in the training office.
Lucky
Unheard
you.
of.
And the
My
training office at your school at Kean is nice.
Oh, it's state of the art.
Yeah. You
When
know,
I can get athletes on campus for a tour,
yeah.
I know they will love it. There's no way you cannot love our campus.
And the whole staff is awesome.
Yes, they are.
I was in there, I don't know how long ago, with Dan Garrett, right? And he gave me a tour. And I'm like, I felt like a celebrity walking in there because well, once they had nothing to do, they were just kind of hanging out. There was nobody in there to work on. And they're all like so chit-chatty, talking. And I'm like,
They're
Dan, is this how
amazing.
it is all the time? He's like, yeah, it's how they are. It's crazy.
Mhm.
And for Division 3, no disrespect for Division 3, your facilities are incredible.
We have D1 facilities.
Yeah, like beautiful. And I
Yes.
thought it was D2, when I was with Dave. Oh, we're D3. I'm like, there's no way.
Mhm.
It's like, holy crap.
What I have learned is that division means nothing.
Yeah, it's who's got money.
Yep.
It's all about the money.
Mhm.
And when I was in coming out of high school, you probably heard this many times. That campus was you didn't want to go.
Yeah, it's very different now.
Now it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like it is a beautiful campus. It's just it's impressive,
Mhm.
which is really cool. Um, let's switch to you and your career path.
Okay.
Okay. So when did you know you wanted to be a college coach? Was that why you were in college? Was that after? How did you figure that out?
So even when I was in high school myself, I had always kind of helped with like youth clinics. And then as a college student, I was always helping and like leading the clinics that we were putting on ourselves. So I've always had a little bit of coach in me, but
Okay.
it was never one of my goals to be a coach as my career.
Okay.
Um, so I always had thought I wanted to do something within the world of social media because I'm very strong at like marketing and just public relations, speaking, and just making
Yeah.
connections with people. So I originally thought I wanted to work for like the NFL or MLB, something like that, doing like social media aspects. Then I don't really know what changed, but something went off in my brain that I was like, I'm not happy doing what I'm doing. Um, so I guess I'll start out by my first job after college. So I was doing social media marketing for a car show company. So it was a company that would put on massive events. So if you are a car person, you've heard of Carlisle car shows. So
Okay.
Carlisle, Pennsylvania, they put on like 12 different car shows all throughout the summer. They are the largest car shows all up and down the East Coast. I would run all of their social media accounts. So I was managing like 10 different social media accounts. I stayed in that position at for like a year and a half, but I didn't want to stay in South Central Pennsylvania. I didn't really see a career trajectory for me there. So someone had planted a bug in my ear about getting into recruiting for a financial company. So we had a family friend that was now the new CEO of a financial management company. And he knew my personality, he knew like how good I was with people. So he had convinced me to join as a recruiter for them. So that was my second job post college. I'm now 2 years out of college doing this. I stayed in that position for 8 months, but I truly didn't enjoy it. I liked the fact that I was able to speak with people, but it was in a capacity where I didn't feel educated enough because I knew nothing about finances.
Yeah.
It was a personality hire.
Yeah.
They knew I could get people in the door for them. But I didn't feel fulfilled in that position. So I started exploring options. And then both my husband and I had a discussion that we thought we should both go back to school to pursue teaching. So he went back to school in New Jersey at Montclair State for his graduate. And then
Hmm.
I got a position at Wilkes University in northern Pennsylvania. So both now in grad school, both pursuing teaching. Um, with that grad school, though, I was now a coach. So it was a grad assistant position that I was in where they were paying for my education. It was a 2 year master's program where I was taking courses and student teaching, doing everything I needed to do to become a teacher. And then I was also coaching. So this was my first experience collegiate coaching. Um, and it just has transpired to so much more ever
You
since.
got the bug.
Yes. That was in 2017 and I've been in it ever since. Haven't left.
So let's talk about that for a second, because you had no plan on being a coach,
No.
but your mindset is athletics.
Hmm.
You know, you were searching for something. You show up, you get the grad assistant. When did you realize, hey, this could be a career gig for me? Was it right away? Was it a month after the first game? When did you say, hey, this is really cool?
It was not right away. I was not gelling with the head coach.
Okay.
We didn't see eye to eye on some things. She really didn't give me like a capacity to be able to speak. Um, I just don't think that we saw eye to eye. Let's leave it
Mhm.
at that. But
Yeah.
sh so I
She's
was
still
like,
there?
that's no, she's not. I took her position. So I at that point was like, I'm just gonna bang this out, my 2 years here, get my degree, I'm gonna be a teacher. And then I thought I would like coach high school after I'm done with my normal day being a teacher, like
Yep.
3 p.m. You coach for 2 hours and then you're done, you go home. But this head coach ended up leaving around like Thanksgiving of my second year there. So I'm almost done getting my master's. I have like 6 months left being in this assistant role. I almost have my degree, and she left. I don't know if it was she was like pushed out or
Yep.
what had happened.
How were you feeling at that time over that? Were you like, hey, I can finally get a voice here?
Yeah, I was excited because I did have like a lot of ideas and opinions that I wanted to share and like certain drills I wanted to run, certain
Yeah.
plays I wanted to run, but it just didn't feel like there was like room for input. Um, so I was excited but also nervous because there was no one applying to the position.
Really?
So I originally didn't apply to the position because I was the assistant. I was a student. In no way, shape, or form did I think that I would even be able to be elevated to that position.
Yeah.
So we went 2 months with the open position. No one qualified applied. I
How
think
could
a
no one apply? Like,
I
what
think a
happened?
few people applied, but no one
Right?
qualified.
Wow.
So I they were about to offer the position to someone that like had played high school lacrosse. Like they had a background, but barely any, no coaching experience.
Yeah.
I was like, no, absolutely not. Like I refuse to let this team like go to SHIT right now.
There's your
So
leadership.
yep. So I was like, yep, I volunteer myself as tribute. I submitted my application, talked to the athletic directors, and I was like, listen, like, I know it's going to be a lot, but I think I can do this. They trusted in me fully and gave me that position. So I had 6 months left. I was about to get my degree, but I still had a few courses that I was taking. So I was taking courses while transitioning into this new role of being the head coach for that season. And
That's
then I stayed.
crazy. So what was that like? Okay, your leadership emotion kicked in. You're like, I'm not letting this thing fall to crap. I'm going to take over, but now I get to be a voice. I get to lead with my ideas, my thoughts, right? But what's it like to go from a grad assistant to a head coach like overnight?
Whirlwind. Like there was so much back end admin stuff that I had no idea how to navigate. Like I was fine with the on-field practice plans,
Yeah.
but other than that, I had to learn everything. So I relied heavily on the field hockey coach at the time.
Did they give you a staff person or anybody to help
No.
you?
They
Nothing.
gave me money to hire an assistant.
Okay, that's fair.
So I had reached out to a girl that had graduated the year prior. So I coached her senior year, but she was still living in the area because she was working as a nurse. So I offered her the position as my assistant because she was like pretty much the only contact I knew. And I knew that she would be able to help me because she knew the school. She was just an athlete there for 4 years. And she
Yeah,
ended up doing an amazing job for me. And we're still like best of friends to this day.
she did a good job.
Good.
So your world got really crazy,
Hmm.
right? And you went from playing to coaching to head coaching. You never really got a chance to take a break.
No.
So how did you handle that mental side of, hey, listen, I'm not playing anymore? Did the coaching help handle the mental side of not playing, where you're still around the game, coaching the girls, and it kept you in it, it kind of kept you from missing the game?
1000%. So I didn't really go through that like withdrawal of, oh,
Yeah,
I'm no longer an athlete because I was in it for coaching. So you're in it so much that I didn't even have a chance to like miss it.
yeah. So you've never stopped.
I stopped for 2 years.
Okay,
So I graduated college, my undergrad in 2014. And then I didn't go to Wilkes as the grad assistant until 2017. So there was a few brief years where I did
okay.
not have any connection to the sport. Um, but that is where I found my love for weightlifting.
So talk about that. It's funny, and I don't mean funny like I'm laughing, but sports is a drug. It's a drug. We're all drug addicts, right? And we're looking for that feeling, that euphoria, those endorphins that are going to help us, feel good. And you found weight training, and Alpha Fit, right?
Mhm.
And so talk about that transition, and how did that help you mentally cope with, I'm not playing anymore, I'm not coaching anymore either.
So my entire life, I had very poor body image. Um, so as a like young girl, I was larger than my friends, but not in like the chubby aspect, like at muscle aspect. Like I
Yeah,
was naturally
athletic.
muscular.
Yeah,
My dad is pretty muscular, so that's where I get it from. So I always kind of just like felt awkward in my body being this like larger human than my friends were. A lot of my friends were like tiny dancers. I was not this small, fragile person where I grew up in a time where being small, feminine, and fragile was what you wanted to be. and that's
Yeah.
just not who I was. So I struggled even in college. Always viewed myself as someone that just like was larger, but not athletic enough to be considered like a top athlete and like muscular in like an amazing way. I was just like weirdly large, muscular. If
Yeah.
that makes any sense. I'm sure
Yeah.
women
Yeah.
listening to this, that'll make sense to you.
Yeah.
Where you're not super fit, but you're not super skinny, you're just weirdly in between. You don't know what your identity is. So
How do you manage that?
you don't. I was
No?
a basket case. I was so insecure.
Did you tell anybody or did you just keep it
No,
inside?
I kept it inside. And then
Right.
when people would like ever make comments about my weight, because it does happen, girls are very mean. So like in high school, like if someone doesn't like you, they call you fat.
Yeah.
And then you cry for 3 days, but you
Yeah.
never really forget about it.
Right.
So I have dealt with like a lot of that in my life, like mean girls making comments. So I
Right.
was in that regard, like as far as body image, self-confidence, I was not like a strong person. So
I find that hard to believe.
I know I'm not who I am now because I found weightlifting. Like I was a completely different person back in the day as far as self-confidence. I was good about like putting on a front because I was an athlete, but I was still not secure in who I was. Um,
Mm.
so when I'm done playing sports, graduate in 2014, I'm like, okay, well, what do I do now? I started going to the gym. I just had free time, so I would just go to our local Planet Fitness and just like start trying to figure out how to lift weights. Because as a college athlete, like we had a gym and we had team lift times, but it was a joke. So we did not have a strength coach. Our coach was just kind of like, go to lift, do whatever you want. So we were just
Mm.
standing there chit-chatting for
Yeah.
45 minutes. We weren't actually lifting. So I had to navigate how to do this on my own. So I taught myself how to lift. I was watching videos on Instagram, YouTube, and I essentially became like a quote unquote bodybuilder all on my own. Taught myself like proper form, fundamentals. I was even studying like anatomy and like writing programming for lifting all on my own. And I was able to transform my body and my mind and just create so much self-confidence in myself because I proved that I could like do something. I really committed to something, and that was becoming a weightlifter. And it changed who I am as a person. And I will, till I'm blue in the face, recommend that any young girl, young boy that is struggling with self-identity or self-confidence, body issues, just start lifting weights. And it doesn't even have to be like to lose weight. It's to change your mindset and tell you like you can look at yourself in the mirror and be like, yeah, I can pick up that 50-pound dumbbell. You can do hard things. It'll change the way you view yourself.
Well, I think you just said it. Change your mindset. And if you're open-minded to change versus closed-minded, you can see anything. If you're closed-minded, next thing you know, like no matter how many times people point something out, you just can't see it, you know? So man, that's pretty intense.
Mhm. I'm very passionate about weightlifting because it changed my life.
You know, it's well, there's well, I don't know what chapter that's going to be, but it's
That'll
in
be
there.
3 chapters.
Yeah, you know. So how about the you're a head coach now?
I am.
All the girls are like, Coach, what the hell do we do? You need to lead them. You need to monitor them. You need to help them. You need to hold their hand. You need to be tough with them. You got so many things. How do you handle, you know, the emotions of not just them but you, and the stresses that come along with it as a head coach of a college sports team?
The most stressful or mentally taxing thing about being a head coach at the collegiate level, at least in my opinion, is not the on-field X's and O's. It's not the winning, the losing. It is what's behind the scenes. It's managing 25 to 30 people. It's managing and having tabs on their academics, their mental space, their family home life, their
Mm.
relationships, their breakups, the highs, the lows. You are not only dealing with everything going on in your own mind as a coach, but you are now aware, observing, absorbing, trying to help all of these other people on a daily basis. It is so mentally taxing, but I think that as a college coach, if you know that and you're prepared and you have resources to help you navigate these things, it can be done. When I first started as a college coach, I was completely unaware of any of this. So I really struggled my first year.
So what do you think is the biggest lesson you've learned as a head coach, you know, of what either to do and what not to do?
One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that you cannot make everyone happy.
Mm.
There's 30 people on a team, all with very different opinions, wants, and needs. You're not going to be able to make everyone happy, and that's okay. That is expected. I used to kill myself over if one girl was mad, one girl was upset, this one was happy about this decision, this one was mad at me for another decision. People are gonna be mad at you. You're making very big decisions for the whole program on a daily basis, and you're not going to be able to make everyone happy because not everyone's going to agree with the decisions that you're making, and that's okay. That's expected.
Okay. How much do the parents get it in the way?
Not much.
Okay.
In my 7 years of being a collegiate coach, I have only had two negative experiences with coaches, and they were, or with parents, and they were both in the same year. And I will never again speak or entertain phone calls with parents.
Okay. So let me ask you this, dealing with parents is, I remember the recruiting process a gazillion years ago, and the head coach would come to your house. If you were a full scholarship athlete and they were offering you, the head coach would come, sit in your living room, and sell the crap out of the parents about how great of a time they're going to have and education, and we're going to this and that. Do you have to meet with the parents? And if you do, how does that conversation go? What's the what are the points you try to bring to the table that why the girls should play for you?
So I have gone to someone's house before.
Okay.
I have mailed letters home. I have had phone calls with parents as a senior in high school coming in. I have taken parents on tours. Every single tour I give, the parents are there. So I am interacting with these parents
Okay.
when they're making a decision on where to send their child because I am a huge piece of their college life. These parents need to feel comfortable sending their daughter with me. They need to know who I am, my face, my background, and I understand that. And I am so open to these conversations with parents, but once they are in my doors, the athletes need to understand that there are things that I will discuss with your parents and there are things that I will not discuss with your parents. So now I know to hand out a piece of paper before a season starts with what my expectations and my rules are and what I will communicate with parents about and what I will not. So that is, there's no like gray area about that. So I talk to parents. I interact with parents all the time, just not about
Okay.
certain things.
So what's on the list of things you won't talk to them about?
Playing time. And well,
That
playing
was
time is
quick.
big.
That was quick.
Yes. So I will not discuss playing time if there are issues with me, like if your daughter has a problem with me, if your daughter has a problem with another teammate, like these are things that a parent should not be discussing. Like your daughter is 18 to 22 years old, they can set up a meeting with me, they can set up a meeting with the teammate. There's no need for the parent to be involved. So it goes back to like what I was saying with my own son, Logan. Like, I hope that I can be a parent that will let my child figure things out on their own. We're not going to be able to hold our kids' hands their entire life. they're in college, they are adults now. They need to be figuring out things on their own. We cannot be fighting their battles.
Big. So when you see a player on your team struggling, I don't just mean like on the field, because usually when they're struggling off the field, they struggle on the field. But as a coach, you see the change in their playing style,
Oh yeah.
commitment, effort. How do you handle that? And what are the things you notice that, hey, you know what, I got to talk to this girl? What jumps out at you? I got to address that.
It depends who the athlete is because everyone acts so differently.
Yeah.
So there are athletes on my team that can see when they're pissed. I can see when something changes and they're like mad at themselves or mad at a teammate and they just immediately start acting differently. And I know if that's a certain player, I let it go because in 2 minutes, she's going to flush out whatever's happening and she's going to forget about it. If it's this other player, I know I need to pull her to the side and say, hey, like you need to talk. If it's this player, I know I need to find her friend. I say, hey, go talk to your friend. Like she needs help right now. So it's another big aspect of coaching is understanding how each person works and what their process is to bring them out of these mental funks because not everyone wants to be like addressed whenever they're having that down moment, that off moment. They want to be alone sometimes. And maybe me asking, like, hey, are you okay? Is going to make them break down in tears.
Right. Do the girls come to you or do you have to go to them?
Some of them come to me very frequently, others do not. So, again, just depends on the player. Some people like to just keep things in. Some people, even if they had like a bad day with like their boyfriend, girlfriend, like they're like, hey, like, do you mind like 10 minutes? Can I just chat to you really quick? Other girls will text me and say, like, I'm having an off day, but I don't want to talk about it. So just like a heads up, if I seem off at practice, that's why.
Okay.
So they know like I want to know what's going on because I've made this very clear with them.
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on with you and my door is always open, but if you don't want to talk about it, just like let me know that something's happening so that way I don't bug you and piss you
Okay.
off.
Well, let me ask you this. This is a tough question. I probably shouldn't ask you this because now people are going to be able to hear it. One of your players texts you, Coach, having a rough day, rough something. I'm going to be a little off today. She shows up to practice. You can tell, man, there's something up here. Do you coach her different? Do you change your style with her, or do you keep it the same way because you don't want her to know that every time she shows up messed up, that you're going to change your style?
I start out keeping things the same way. So let's say it's a player that texts me, hey, they're having an off day. So I would not treat them any differently to begin with. Like I would say, hey, what's up? Like coach them just as I normally would. But say it's someone that keeps making the same mistake. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep on them about that same mistake if I know they're having an off day because that like I said, like that's going to make them break down in tears.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to treat it situational. Who is it? What's going on with the mistakes that they're making? But I try my best to just coach everyone the same way as if nothing was going on,
Yeah.
unless like I know it's gonna like really eat at them if I
Yeah.
were to keep on them.
Do you catch up with them after practice and kind of
I
touch base or?
again only if they're like hanging around, like lingering. I'm not gonna go out of my way to like pull them
Yeah.
for a chat because
And they're hanging
I
around lingering, hoping you
yeah,
probably say something,
yeah.
right?
Because
So,
they know like I want to speak to them, but I'm
yeah.
not gonna go out of my way.
Yeah.
But like the next day I might say like, hey, how you doing today? Like
Yeah.
just keep that line of communication
Yep.
open
That's
so they
great.
know they can always chat.
That's good. That's awesome. There's a lot of kids are afraid to talk,
hmm I
you
mean,
know?
I was and I still am.
Yeah.
Like when I'm having a rough day, I kind of just shut down. Like I
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about things because it will make me more emotional. So
Yeah.
maybe the next day when I've had a chance to decompress,
Yep.
that's when I will feel comfortable talking about it like with my spouse or my family. But in the heat of the moment, like I'm not going to want to chat because
Yep.
it's going to get worse.
Now, do you think you're an emotional person?
I'm not highly unemotional, almost
Okay.
comical.
Okay. You know,
So, but it also comes back to me just like wanting to internalize things and then
Right.
process them at a later date.
Yeah. But do you think, and this is great stuff, because as a coach, sometimes you got to at least look emotional about some stuff, right?
Yeah.
And if it's not you, you're like, are they going to see this? It's not me or what? But when you're not emotional, but that just means you're strong-willed, is my opinion. You're strong-willed. And you see the girls that are really emotional. Is it hard to relate to them?
Yes. So just yesterday, we had
Okay.
a very high emotion game. So we had a great first half. We were like neck and neck, doing so well. Both teams so talented, doing so well. The third quarter, we started making a few mistakes. Emotions started getting high. We started getting mad at each other.
Mm,
And I just like in my head, I'm like, why are they like getting so frantic, you know? Like, can't we all just bring it back down? Like calm,
yeah.
cool, collected. So it is hard for me to relate sometimes because some people are here
Oh,
and they
yeah.
stay here. Whereas I, as a player, was able to just like easily kind of like flush things and like say, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get the next one. Not everyone is like that.
Yeah.
So once they get those high emotions, they stay there. So I have learned, of course, over the last 7 years that like I have very different styles than some people.
Yeah.
So I'm getting better at being able to relate now that I
Right.
understand that not everyone is like me.
But as a head coach is you're emotional, everybody is, but you know how to control them. That's the difference.
Yes.
Is you can control them and internalize them, and the rest of the world can't do that because they're just not mature enough, don't know how to do it. But how do you balance all the mental pressure and stuff you got to deal with between the two coaching worlds, the working out world, the family world? Like, how do you balance all of that mental stress and pressure?
It is very hard to balance. I'm not going to lie. When I am in season for lacrosse, so January to end of April, May, it is the four most stressful months that I can't even put into words. It is a roller coaster of emotions, the highest highs, the lowest lows. But again, like I've done it for 7 years, so I know what to expect. And I just have to keep reminding myself that it's temporary. It's 4 months. And then come May, June, I can breathe. But that is what you sign up for when you coach college athletics. Like it's just an accepted and known thing. So I've come up with like different coping mechanisms to try to help me balance things. The biggest one is like trying not to respond to text messages in the evening. So I say I'm always available. If it's an emergency, call me. But if you're just texting to text me about non-important things, like yes, everything is important, but like, can we do this drill tomorrow? I'm gonna try to text you back in the morning because when I first got into coaching, I was texting players back at 2 in the morning. I never turned off my coach brain. I was just always available and always responding.
Mm,
And I think that made me even more stressed because I felt like I had to be doing that. I felt like I had to prove something as such a young coach. Like I felt like I was better than all these middle-aged coaches that weren't going to be able to answer the phone at 2 a.m. I'm like, no, I'm going to be available.
yeah.
But it went so far like in the other direction that it took such a big mental toll on me.
So
Um,
you set the boundaries.
Yes, I've learned how to set boundaries.
Yeah. And somebody's probably listening to this, and because you just said a minute ago, well, 4 months of craziness. Like 4 months, they can't handle 4 days. How do you mentally prepare for knowing going into it? This is 4 months of nuts. Just because maybe on the other end, you got 2 months off.
Pretty much. Like there's no way to truly prepare.
Yeah.
Like it just because it starts one day because that's how it is. Like
Yeah.
college, like your practice starts January 17th and you are on 6 days a week until April 28th. Sundays are your only off day. But I coach youth lacrosse on Sundays. So for 4 months, I don't have an off day.
You have no days off.
No, I do not.
Do you have like the superwoman's on your shirt?
See, like it's easy for me to like say yes, like I'm a superwoman, but there's doctors out there, there's nurses out there, there's psychiatrists out there that are doing so much greater work than I am and making such a more impactful mark on people's lives. I don't want to minimize what I do because I know it is important. I play a
Right.
huge role in people's lives,
Right.
but at the same time, I'm a college coach. It's not that serious. There's
I'm going to
people more
disagree with you.
important than me.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. Right. And the reason why is, yeah, okay, if a doctor's saving someone's life, I get it. But you're building someone's life. You're building the next 60 years of their lives, maybe longer. Right? You're giving them a foundation of how to live life. That's pretty damn important, and you got to look at it that way because you're out of balance. You're throwing your, I always say everybody's out of balance. You're either out of balance towards work and your family doesn't get as much attention,
Mhm.
or when it's time, you go out of balance towards your family and your work doesn't get as much attention. So, and both sides get the impact. So, what you're doing with these young girls and the impression you're making on their lives is going to last forever until the day they die. They will talk about you until the day they die.
Both good and bad.
True, but they're still going to talk about you. Think
Right.
about that, because you're going to talk about your coaches until the day you die. Especially when you get together with your teammates and you start kibitzing about all the good and bad and crazy things that went on. It's if the coaches come up, you know, which is so cool. So what's your path look like? What does your career path look like? Or what are you hoping to accomplish long term? Anything jumping out?
I don't have a lined out career path or career goals. I try to live in the moment as much as possible. I want to stay within the coaching space for the rest of my life, but in what capacity, I do not know. I'm making everything work right now with one young child, but we do want another baby within the next few years. So who knows? Will I be able to stay a head college coach with two babies? I sure hope so. Maybe that becomes more difficult and I have to take a step back for a few years until my kids are in school. I don't know. So I don't want to give myself this like very linear trajectory of what I want my life to be because I don't
Okay.
want to set myself up for failure. I don't
Okay.
want to have these like strict expectations on myself. I'm just going to take each year as it comes.
Well, I'm going to kind of mess you up a little bit on that one. Is the higher you go in athletics, three, two, one, the more resources you get. So can you see yourself moving up to D2, D1? Is that a dream? Because you're a D1 coach. They provide all the help and resources. You got babysitting and all kinds of stuff. You can have 10 kids, you know? Do you see yourself in a desire to move up the coaching ranks?
I have no desire to coach at the Division 2 level unless it was some like crazy salary bump. But just to say that I'm a Division 2 coach makes zero
Okay.
sense for me to make that move. In my mind, that is a lateral move. The only piece of like the Division 2 world that is not at the Division 3 world is scholarships. But that's it means nothing. You're just offering money to girls to come to your school, but really there's no benefit for me to do that. You are correct. So if I were to somehow land a Division 1 job, I could have the finances to have 4 assistants to take some of the load off of my plate, making my job easier. I might have childcare on campus, so I don't have to. You are correct. It would be much easier at a Division 1 level. Do I have the skills to be able to be a Division 1 coach? I know I have some. I for sure have the communication skills. I have the admin skills. Do I have the on-field X's and O's knowledge? Maybe not. But can I get there through training and continued education? Probably. So that is just a conversation of what do I want? Where do I want to be someday? and I don't know right now.
I think you'll figure it out. What keeps you coaching?
What keeps me coaching? I think knowing that I am making an impact on people's lives is what keeps me going. I know my true intentions in my heart. And like I said at the very beginning of this interview, you're not going to be able to make everyone happy. I am going to piss people off with decisions I make. Some people might not align with my coaching style, but I think that if I can have a positive impact on majority of the athletes that I coach, then I would consider myself successful in my career. I think that if most of my athletes can look back when they're 40 years old and say, like, hey, I had a really good experience with that coach. She taught me some good life lessons. She led by example. Like, she showed me that you can be a strong female leader and raise a family. I think that I would be very happy.
Pretty cool. That's the last chapter of the book. So, Sarah, we talked about a ton of stuff. Man, I could probably talk to you for another 2 more hours, but I know Logan's got to go to bed, right? Is there anything we haven't touched on that you think we should hit before we wrap it up?
I mean, nothing that we haven't touched on, but I kind of want to just reiterate that women, young women specifically, if any college students are listening to this, like, if you want to have a family someday, take a page from my book. Like, I'm trying to lead by example and show that you can kind of have it all. I'm working a full-time career. I also have a part-time job, while also raising a family. It's a lot of work. It's very stressful, but you're able to do it all if you want it all.
And that's it, is if you want it, And I always say, well, there's a will, there's a way. I'm sure you've heard that before, and when you don't want it, nothing goes right.
Hmm.
When you truly want it, isn't it kind of funny that everything seems to always work out?
Yes.
It's kind of weird. That's what I tell my kids. Everything always works out. Don't worry about it. My
Hmm.
daughter's getting married in 2 weeks, right? And it's a little stressful right now, and it's almost like everything's gonna work out. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And that's always been my mantra that if it's what you want, there's a will, there's a way, and everything always works out. Just don't quit.
Yeah.
That's it, you know. So Sarah, this has been great. Love having you on the show. Appreciate that you took the time out of your day, and I know, your days are very long, and sleep is important. And now you got to go. You're going to go from here to you're the head coach of the family,
Hmm.
and that's the most important role at all, the ones
It
you
is.
have, So, but stay in touch, and looking forward to seeing you succeed on campus with the girls lacrosse team at Kean, and just keep doing what you're doing and keep impacting all the people that you touch every day, because it's a ripple effect. And it will you by the time you're done coaching, God willing, it's a really long time. Just think of the hundreds and hundreds of young women you're going to touch and impact.
You're so right. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Just hopefully I can stay in this for a long time and just continue to make a positive impact.
I'm sure you will. I'll see you at your next home game.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thanks for having me.